let's take you live to Queensland now. Stones Corner, Brisbane, the electorate of Griffith. Labor making another housing announcement today. This is where they want the focus in the last week of their campaign. Here's the Prime Minister.
Renee, thank you for the extraordinary effort that you've undertaken over recent months and indeed going back to last year in order to return this seat to Labor hands. Because we know that the local MP here has held up, personally held up, as the Greens Party housing spokesperson, held up investments like this, has held up investments in the Housing Australia Future Fund, held up the Help to Buy scheme, which is about shared equity in home ownership, held up the Build to Rent scheme that's about private rental properties that will result in well over 6 figures of houses being built according to the Property Council, according to the industry. This project here is precisely the sort of example that we will see more of with the Housing Australia Future Fund, and after Jim speaks, Rebecca's going to speak about why that is so important. 82 homes here for Australians, 50 of them being social homes, public housing, 32 of them being essential workers, affordable homes, making sure that the people who work in the 4 hospitals around this site where we're located here will have the opportunity to live closer to where they work. This will make an enormous difference. Labor has some $43 billion in the largest ever investment in housing through our Homes for Australia plan. We support increased housing supply as being the key, whether that be increased numbers of social housing, whether that be increased numbers of affordable housing, increased private rentals or increased home ownership. We have a comprehensive plan that doesn't just deal with demand, that deals with supply. We particularly want to help first home buyers to get into home ownership, and that's what our 5% deposit will do. Instead of people struggling to get to that 20% figure, meanwhile seeing it perhaps further and further away while they're trying to save but paying off someone else's mortgage, what they will be able to do is to pay off their own mortgage with just a 5% deposit by the government, making sure that they don't need that mortgage insurance, dealing through financial institutions in the same way that other home buyers do, but doing it in a way with that government guarantee. Now, we've helped some 150,000 Australian families into homes already, their first homes. Of that, the default is 3 out of 150,000. That shows how successful this program has been. And together with the 100,000 homes that we will build, are based upon the South Australian model for first home buyers. Again, building homes in multi-dwelling units largely, where a portion of those homes is set aside just for first home buyers, so they're not competing with investors, making sure that they can get into the housing market. Labor understands that having a secure roof over your head is the key to opportunity, over whether your kids can get a better education, whether your health care is looked after, whether you have that security of being able to seek employment or seek better employment going forward. But the other plan we have, of course, is to make sure that we have more tradies to build these homes. So our free TAFE, 600,000 free TAFE places, many of them in construction and electrical. Our $10,000 incentives for people undertaking those apprenticeships going forward as well. I've met so many young people and people retraining around the country in TAFE, doing free TAFE, doing their apprenticeships, making a difference going forward. And we know that in 2 areas, free TAFE, gone under a coalition government. Housing Australia Future Fund, gone under a coalition government. Just a return from the same people who didn't bother to have a housing minister for most of the time that they were in office during that 10 long wasted years. Australia deserves better. Labor is running in this campaign under Building Australia's Future. And there's nowhere more important when we talk about building than building homes for future Australians. I'll hand to Jim and then we'll hear from Rebecca.
Thanks very much, PM. Thanks, Rebecca, and your team for having us here today, and thanks to Renee Coffey as well. If we want to build more homes in Australia, we need to elect Renee Coffey to the National Parliament. If we want to cut taxes for every Australian taxpayer, we need to elect Renee Coffey to the Parliament. 99,000 taxpayers in this electorate of Griffith will get 2 tax cuts if Labor is elected, or they'll get tax hikes from the Coalition if Peter Dutton becomes the Prime Minister. That's the difference here in Griffith for 99,000 taxpayers. Now, only one party is going to this election with a credible, costed and coherent economic plan, and it's the Labor Party. And housing is at the absolute core of our responsible economic management. It goes to the choices at this election. Under Labor and this Prime Minister, more homes, more tradies and smaller deposits, or under Peter Dutton and the Coalition, fewer homes, higher prices and cuts to TAFE and tradies. And so that's the choice when it comes to housing. The choice when it comes to the cost of living is higher wages, lower taxes and ongoing help with the cost of living under this Prime Minister, or higher taxes, lower wages and no ongoing help with the cost of living from Peter Dutton and the Coalition. The choice at this election is between stability from Anthony Albanese or risk from Peter Dutton. The choice is between responsible economic management being provided by this Labor government or secret costs and savage cuts, which will come if Peter Dutton is elected Prime Minister on Saturday. Now, yesterday, Katie Gallagher and I released our detailed costings for the election. It was the 3rd costings update, if you include the PFO, in the last 5 weeks or so. And what the costings show is that responsible economic management is a defining feature of this Albanese Labor government. A $208 billion turnaround in the budget, 2 surpluses, a smaller deficit this year, $100 billion in savings, banking the majority of the upward revision to revenue. All of this is about cleaning up the mess that we inherited when it came to the budget. Now, it is now long past time for Peter Dutton to come clean on his cuts. Peter Dutton can't find the $600 billion he needs for his nuclear reactors without coming after Medicare again like he did when he was the Health Minister. By our count, they've made about $62 billion in commitments. That's before you get to the $600 billion of nuclear reactors. Peter Dutton needs to come clean on his secret costs and his savage cuts, which will make Australians worse off. That is what we are calling on Peter Dutton to do today. Come clean on your cuts, not after the election, but well before the election, so that people can understand how much worse off they'll be under Peter Dutton when he comes after Medicare again. He comes after housing by abolishing the Housing Australia Future Fund. He comes after free TAFE and all of the things which is so important to our economic plan. Now, tomorrow we will get new numbers for inflation. The progress that we've made together on inflation is a powerful demonstration of the progress that Australians have made together more broadly on the economy. We've got inflation substantially down. Real wages are growing again. Unemployment is low. We've got the debt down. Growth is rebounding solidly in our economy, and interest rates have started to come down as well. So we've made a lot of progress on inflation. We've made a lot of progress on the economy, but we know that there's more work to do because people are still under pressure and the global economic environment is so uncertain. In volatile times in the global economy, we don't need a volatile leader like Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton presents an unacceptable risk to household budgets, the national budget and the national economy in uncertain times. We are providing responsible economic management, stable, considered, methodical economic management. You saw that in our costings and you've seen that in the progress that we're making on inflation as well, and we'll see more of that tomorrow. Now, the only way to ensure that Australia continues to have stability and responsibility is to give Labor a majority on Saturday. That's why these Queensland seats are so important. It's why Renee Coffey is so important as well. Last point I'd make is about Queensland and the role of Queensland in this election. We've seen Peter Dutton's true colours through the cyclone and through this election campaign, and they're not maroon. They're not maroon. He might be from here, but he's not for Queensland. This Prime Minister is not from Queensland, but he is for Queensland. And the fact that he comes here again and again to make these crucial investments in housing in Queensland, to give every Queensland taxpayer a tax cut, to make sure that we're not doing what Peter Dutton wants to do, which is to build a nuclear reactor in the suburbs of his local community. These are some of the things that are at stake in this election in Queensland, but also around Australia. We're going to hear from Rebecca and then happy to take some questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Olkers. I'm the CEO of Brisbane Housing Company. I'm really thrilled to be here today because this particular building is 82 units of social and affordable housing. It's going to be life-changing, literally life-changing for the people who live here. As you can see, it's a fantastic location, absolutely key location for hospitals in close proximity. There will be key workers that live in this area who are absolutely unable to live affordably in this area, but with the development of this particular building, they will be able to live and also put food on the table, send their kids to their excursions. Make no mistake, buildings like this make a huge difference to people's lives. And so the vulnerable people who are waiting on the public housing wait list will be eligible for accommodation in this building, as will key workers. And we're talking about people who are working in our hospitals. We're talking about the people who look after our children in childcare. We're talking about the people who look after our parents in aged care. We're talking about the baristas. All of these people will find affordable accommodation in buildings like this. And I want to be really clear. Things like the Housing Australia Future Fund are vital to actually providing social and affordable housing at scale. I cannot overstate that enough. Federal involvement in housing is hugely important. The role of the states together with the federal government, hugely important. I've been in social and affordable housing for 20 years. Brisbane Housing Company has built and managed affordable housing for over 20 years. And buildings like this are what make all the difference. Supply is what makes the difference, and we have to do this in a way that can actually be scaled. This particular building, it's not funded by the Housing Australia Future Fund, but funded under a very similar state model under the HIF, exactly the same mechanism as the HAF. We're very big advocates of the HAF, and we need to see more buildings like this done because, honestly, as Australians, our Australian people deserve it, and I'm really thrilled to see the federal leadership in this arena. Thank you.